around you, and it's sort of ingrained in our belief systems about our bodies. But I want to challenge that, and I want you to think a little differently. Open your mind to some new possibilities. First of all, the image you have of your skeleton, the only tissue that remains after a body decomposes, we think of these hard bones that are just this thing, this structure underlying our tissue. But bones themselves are a living tissue. Bones themselves are just like your skin. There are changes happening every single day. Skin cells are born and skin cells die. Skin cells are changing constantly. Every cell in your body, including the cells of your bones, are a dynamic living organism that are growing and repairing or changing on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing stagnant about your bones as long as you live. So yeah, you know that when you were a child, your bones were growing and growing and growing, but most of us think once we're done growing, then it's our skeleton, and it's just this hard, solid thing inside of us. And the only change that can happen is that it might get weaker as we age. But that's really not true. You have osteoblasts, those are cells that build bone, and you have osteoclasts, and those are cells that break down bone. And they are both working every single day to remodel your bones on a daily basis based on your body's need, based on your circumstances, your environment. If you were to be launched into outer space and leave the gravitational forces that are on our body here on this planet, within a very short time, 2 weeks I believe, there would be distinct changes to your bone density. Because the stress of gravity is off of your bones, so therefore your body perceives less need for dense bones. So it starts to take calcium and minerals out of the bones by using those osteoclasts to take minerals out of the bones. So they know, NASA knows that their astronauts have to take steps to protect their bone density, and that there's going to be a measurable loss of bone even if they try to take these measures or take these steps to protect their bones. There's going to be a loss of bone when someone is in space or out of gravity for an extended period of time. So the reverse is also true. If you increase gravity's forces on your bones, then guess what your body will do? It will deposit more calcium and more minerals in the bones via osteoblasts, the bone building cells. So when you increase the stress of gravity, the bones get more dense. That is why exercise builds stronger bones. It is also why you will have, if your body is out of alignment and you have increased stress of gravity on different areas of your spine or your joints, then you will develop osteoarthritis. So this is going to, if you really let this sink in, hopefully destroy our unhelpful, old-fashioned thinking about our bones and aging and what it means and what happens to our bodies. Osteoporosis is weakened bones. Osteopenia is the state before it's fully osteoporosis, the bones are starting to weaken. So first someone would be diagnosed with osteopenia, the bones are getting a little bit weaker, and then they're very weak, then it's osteoporosis. You can have that and osteoarthritis at the very same time, right? We think of little old ladies, right, who might have osteoporosis as also being capable of having osteoarthritis, right? Those two things go in our heads together very easily. That's just what we consider normal aging, although normal and common should not be mixed up. But what osteoarthritis really is a depositing of calcium where it doesn't belong, in the joints, on the edges of the bones. So when your body has excess stress in a joint, so if the spine is out of alignment, so let me grab my spine. Back. So if we have a misalignment of the spine, gravity is coming down, on one side, greater force than the other side, right? And what's going to happen is the body is going to deposit extra calcium over here, and that calcium is going to build up over time, make the joints stiff and crusty and crunchy, think of it like rust, and that is osteoarthritis. Now, not to be confused with rheumatoid arthritis or other types of arthritis, but osteoarthritis are typical old aging, arthritis that is not genetic at all, has nothing to do with your family history, is entirely caused by extra stress on a joint or a bone. So if you can have osteoporosis, meaning calcium is being taken out of the bones, and osteoarthritis, where calcium is being deposited into the joints at the exact same time, guess what? Osteoporosis has nothing to do with how much calcium you consume. It has nothing to do with your genes or your family history. It's not how much calcium is in your body. Of course, you certainly need calcium, but if you can be depositing extra calcium and losing calcium at the same time, then it's not what you're eating. It's not, just because you have the genes for osteoporosis. It's the signals that your body is receiving, the signals especially that the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts are receiving. So if the osteoblasts are getting a signal that there's stress on a bone and it's even, body's aligned, even distributed stress, as in I am taking weights and I am doing squats, or I'm doing jumping jacks and I'm putting force on my bones on an aligned body, well then your body is receiving the signal to make the bones stronger all over. If we are out of alignment and we're doing that very same exercise, or unfortunately just sitting around in gravity's force, then the excess calcium will be deposited where there is more stress. So one hip could degenerate or become osteoarthritic faster than the other hip. Regardless of your age, the hips are the same age, the knees are the same age, the spine is the same age, but osteoarthritis is rarely symmetrical, right? It's going to show up in the areas that are excess stress. So we need to understand what signals our body is receiving. We need that stress on the bones, but we need it to be even, so our bodies need to be aligned, and consistent as far as exercise goes. We need to constantly, throughout a lifetime, be putting that good, healthy stress on the body by doing weight-bearing exercise. Body weight is good, and then once we've moved past that and our strength has built, then we can add weights. And it could be just little handheld dumbbells, but weight-bearing exercise, critical for your body to receive, or your bones to receive, a signal to take the calcium that's floating around and put it into the bones. And it's not just calcium that makes strong bones, but you know what I mean. There are other signals to the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts that tell them whether or not to build the bones or break them down. They're hormones. The hormones, growth hormone, right, would obviously tell your body to build the bones. Testosterone is a building hormone, and so is estrogen, believe it or not. So one of the ways we've been tricked into thinking this is out of our control is the fact that naturally, normally, in a healthy body, our estrogen levels decrease as we age for women. And that is one of the signals, not the only signal, but one of the signals for your body to build bone. So as that signal wanes, we have to have the other signals in place. Otherwise, guess what? You're going to lose bone. But growth hormone and testosterone are things that'll stick around in your body if you're telling your body you need those things. And it comes back to exercise again. So exercise will increase the amount of growth hormone that you produce regardless of how old you are. You don't have to be trying to grow taller for your body to still produce growth hormone. It's involved in the healing and repair after exercise. It's also involved in building the muscles after exercise, and so is testosterone. Testosterone is present in a woman's body. It's an important part of our physiology, and exercise is a way that we could get higher levels, optimal levels, and not let it wane as estrogen would. So it's not going to make you, grow chest hair or have, muscles like a man, but you need a certain amount of testosterone in your body to be maximally healthy and to have good healing, repair, muscle growth, etc. And one of the best ways to stimulate growth hormone and testosterone is through high-intensity interval training. So short bursts of more intensive exercise. So just going for a walk is at a slow, steady pace has beautiful benefits for your health, physically, mentally. But if you did a 3-minute drill where for 30 seconds if you're up to it, if your body is ready for it, you sprinted or you did burpees or something more high intense, and then you relaxed, and then you did high intensity again. It's called high intensity interval training or intervals. That stresses your body in a way that will make it produce growth hormone. So you could get more bang for your buck metabolically in bone health by doing some HIIT training or high intensity interval training. Another signal that we have to think about are the nerve signals, right? You didn't think I was going to talk to you about the health of your body without talking about your nerves. But the nerve signals are the body's communication system, right? Your brain sends messages down the spinal cord to all of the organs, glands, muscles, and that is how things are run. And then the body sends information back through the spinal cord to the brain. And your brain coordinates all of what it receives from your body and says things like, okay, go ahead and build the bones here, turn this hormone on, turn that off, do this, do that. And homeostasis is the result if we have clear communication between the brain and the body. But subluxations, those misalignments of the spine that come from life's stresses, whether they be physical, chemical, or emotional, create interference in the nerve cells or in the nerve pathways and creates interference in the communication of the nerve system. So if we don't have neurological clarity, then things are misfiring. Things are not optimally balanced. So chiropractic is important in your alignment so that the stress is even on the bones, but very important for the brain-body communication so that everything is humming along in homeostasis. The last signal I want to talk about is what you mentally tell your body. The signal that you project to all of your cells by the thoughts that you hold about your body. When you think things about your body, it receives that message and creates what you're thinking. So when you're thinking things like, aging is inevitable, every woman in my family had osteoporosis, or here's some more evidence of I'm just getting older, and we think that, we say things like that, your body will start to project or create that for you so that you are correct in your assessments. So the signals that we give our body mentally are very important. We all understand that there is real power in what we call the placebo effect in science, so much so that we have to account for it in all of the studies we do for drugs and so on. They have to account for the placebo effect because the act of swallowing a pill, your brain thinks something is going to happen and can actually create real physical effects in your body. And so we need to use that to our advantage. Changing the way you think about your body, the way you talk to it, what image you project onto it, what you expect out of it can absolutely change the results that you get. So those are the things we need to think about as far as signals to the osteoblast, osteoclast. Are we giving our body exercise regularly and consistently? Do we have good, healthy nerve signals? Are we doing things that help the hormonal signals? be healthy. Again, back to exercise. And then, of course, we have to have the right ingredients for building healthy bone. But usually people stop at thinking about, am I getting enough calcium? And they completely ignore the signals. You can take buckets and buckets full of calcium, and in fact, would be doing your bones more harm than good, because without the presence of magnesium and vitamin D and all of the little trace minerals and the elements that work together, that calcium is going to be problematic for your body. And your body will actually have to pull minerals out of your bones to help balance the calcium that you're taking in. So even if you're not taking too much calcium, you can have all this calcium in your body, and your body could be depositing it in the joints, in the vessels and atherosclerosis, because it's not getting the signal that you need to put it into the bones. So signals are far more important than supplements or nutrition as far as calcium levels go. Now, that being said, giving your body healthy foods will only be beneficial, right? And when we think of healthy foods, I don't want you to just think milk, calcium. It really doesn't work that way. Where do cows get calcium? All this calcium that's in their milk. They eat grass, right? They don't drink milk, except for when they're calves. So cows use grass, leafy greens, they can digest grass. We cannot, but you can digest kale and spinach and collards and arugula. Those dark leafy greens are a really great source of calcium. Believe it or not, inside of the orange peel, the white stuff, that's a source of calcium. Sesame seeds, great source of calcium, easy to sprinkle on salads. But we also need magnesium. That's a big deal here. And you might not be getting enough magnesium in your diet. They say that because of the soil depletion, a lot of the foods that are high in magnesium, like our dark leafy greens or cocoa, I love to throw into smoothies, by the way, that's a good source of magnesium, but that the plants are getting lower levels. So magnesium might be one of the things you might want to consider supplementing. I'm not a big fan of calcium supplements because they don't digest well, and very likely you're not low in calcium, you're just not putting it in the right places, but magnesium might be something. Vitamin D is essential for getting that calcium and magnesium and all the minerals into the bones. Vitamin D often overlooked. Highly recommend you getting a blood test to find out what your levels are. If you need to supplement, you want D3 plus K2. So look for a combo, ask me if you need some help. But watch out for, so the best sources of nutrition, right, are whole foods. And the amount of magnesium and potassium and all the minerals that you need are in balance in nature. You know, blueberries, avocados are going to have this perfect balance of potassium and magnesium and sodium that your body needs and can use optimally. So look for adding whole, good foods to your body. Less processed. You know, the more processed food is, the higher usually the sodium is, which will throw your minerals off, and the lower in nutrition. And then when we're just eating a lot of processed foods, your body needs those minerals and needs those nutrients, so it has to pull them out of the bones, and they will get weaker. Soda in particular is very high in phosphorus, whether it's diet soda or regular soda, and can leach minerals out of your bones. So junk food, just think of it as, you know, not only not giving you a lot of nutrition, but it can be stealing nutrients from your body. That vitamin D, ideally you would get from the sun. So some good healthy sun exposure during the time of the year that we can. But many times during the year in this climate, you're going to have to do supplements. So I definitely recommend getting a blood test once in a while to see where your levels are, see what you should supplement with, especially during the winter months. I love grassrootshealth.net, grassrootshealth.net. And you just go on there, you can order your own test kit. There's a great vitamin D calculator, and you can put in your levels and where you want to get to, and it'll tell you how much to take. Last thing, maybe some trace minerals. I love using unprocessed sea salt, Himalayan sea salt. There's lots of little trace minerals that you can get from a product like that. So most important thing is to just throw away the old thinking that osteoporosis is just something that runs in your family. It's something you can't really do anything about. Prescription drugs are the only option. And think about the signals that your body is receiving. Are they signals for health? Are they signals for growth? Especially when it comes to bone health, we need to give our bones signals, the hormones, the nerve signals, the thoughts, and the impact, the healthy impact in an aligned body for those bones to be strong. So thank you for spending your time with me tonight. I hope this information has been helpful. Please share it with people that you know that can benefit from it. And I can't wait till you guys all get to check out the new space. So come visit us soon. Have a great night.